welcome to the Geekoid podcast. I'm SuperSaorin.
I'm FootStompa.
Okay, so games we've been playing lately.
Old ones.
Old. Yes, because
mostly, new ones: Shadow Mordor, Beyond Earth, and I've been playing Mountain Blade, Fire and Sword a lot. But no, Beyond Earth. Everyone's giving it a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought everyone was fucking loving this game. I thought everyone loved the Civilization games.
The problem is that it's just Civ 5. Like someone says,
Oh.
like it's basically a total conversion mod.
Oh.
And I agree, but I don't.
Well, I haven't played the game, so I can't say much about it. But I mean, like, my first reaction to statements like that would just be like, well, don't fix what ain't broke.
Like I get that, but people, I guess a lot of people were expecting something more like Alpha Centauri, when I'm like, why? It looked like Civ 5. It looked like it was gonna play like Civ 5, where it was just now it's in space, and
what was Alpha Centauri? Just
Alpha Centauri was kind of it was a Civ game, but they had broken it away, and a lot of basically Civ 5 was always just a sandbox, where it's like you're a civilization, and you play, and you create this kind of alternate history as you play. And Alpha Centauri was, no, basically, mankind, we went up to the stars, and due to a problem, mankind fractured into these factions that were all based around an idea. And there was a story to it as well. Like, as you played, you unraveled the story of what's happening on this world. And this game, I guess they were hoping for more of that, and you don't get it, and the late game gets very tedious.
Oh, yeah.
Because, the early to mid game, you're fighting the planet. And you're trying to survive. And, when you get to the late game where it's the planet is now either part of your faction or you've wiped it out to the point where it doesn't matter. Where you've got... when your units are more powerful than most of theirs.
Okay.
So it becomes against the other civilizations. And that gets really tedious and boring. And, especially if you play on a large map.
Like, why, though?
Well, because it's really hard to conquer cities. You don't have as many cities, and you're just fighting other civilizations. And then it just becomes Civ 5 with a sci-fi paint job.
Oh, okay.
And taking cities is really goddamn hard.
Mm.
Or it can be. So you have a lot of combat, and there's no WMDs. So it's basically they took a bunch of stuff out of the late game of Civ 5 and haven't put an equal in. So it's, I have yet to beat one of the games. I have 2 or 3 games on the go, and I've yet to beat one. And the late game gets pretty boring in all of them. I have yet to try the Harmony.
You were so pumped for that.
Oh, it's still a great game. It's still a solid Civ game, but it's the problem of everyone whining and bitching because it's Civ. But then again, I 20 minutes ago gave out to Borderlands for just being more Borderlands. So it's if you like Civ, it's more of Civ. And if you're expecting something totally new and different, you're going to be disappointed.
Fair enough. Well, that was the thing with Borderlands, though, is Borderlands they really got the formula down with the second game. And I want to see more, especially with the ending of Borderlands 2, where it was we got all these other planets that have all these other vaults. And how before Borderlands 2 came out, Gearbox went and purchased the rights for the name, which much people respected they might have been what the second game was going to be going with. They purchased the rights to own the title Border Worlds. Everybody was all like, ooh, maybe we'll get a bunch more planets, and that'll be the new thing. And I'm hoping they kind of do that, because that would be a lot more interesting, because they can really build a cool world with this.
They're going to go MMO.
I hope, actually. That would actually be kind of cool.
But
they have to do it the right way, but I mean, something more Destiny-esque in terms of an MMO kind of world would be fine.
Yeah.
If they kind of
For me, the reason I really liked Borderlands 2 was the characters.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it was all about Tiny Tina, and Handsome Jack was an amazing bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
And all the characters were really cool, and it helped get you through the grind of Borderlands, because that's what it is. It's a grind.
Well, yeah.
And it helped you get you through the grind. Whereas Destiny, it's also a grind. It doesn't have that character behind it.
Or really that much of a story.
There's no reason to do it. And that's its big folly. But Borderlands, if it went MMO, I think you could do it where it doesn't change a whole lot, but it would make that grind that much worse.
I don't mean necessarily MMO. Like, I mean just keep the game basically how it is, but give it a similar kind of online feel as like Destiny with some better social aspects.
Yeah, like the social stuff.
I mean, for God's sakes, like Borderlands 2 already have better social aspects than Destiny does, simply on the basis that it allows player trading for items.
Essentially, but the problem with that is that with Destiny, like with you need to be able to trade in Borderlands because there's no share, like the loot's all shared. So someone can go and grab your gun and be like, dude, I really wanted that gun, you have to give it back. Whereas in Destiny, all the loot, only you can see your own loot.
Yeah, but the problem I have with it, though, is they're trying to be like, well, it's like, this could be comparable to an MMO, but the problem is
It's not. It's
not in any way comparable to an MMO. It's kind of like they sort of looked at Borderlands' kind of online scheme and were like, we'll do that, and then they didn't really do it as well. And it's not even at all, because like, there's so little you can do for like matchmaking and stuff like that, and it's kind of like, it's just what it's... As much as there's like things I really like with Destiny, but I do find a lot of like the multiplayer aspect to it is really weak.
Yeah,
and they relied way too heavily on the Crucible for its online success.
I'm a PvE player, and I was really hoping for more PvE, but it turns out like everything's based around the PvP, and I'm like, I don't give two shits about your Crucible. I don't the only reason I play the Crucible now is so I can unlock this exotic hand cannon that's like I'm still playing because I haven't bothered because I hate the Crucible, and to get the coins so you can get the gear from New Monarchy. But I'm like, why is it Crucible based? Why can't I use Glimmer and play this in PvE and get access to the same shit?
Because World of Warcraft.
Because World of Warcraft.
With their reputation points and stuff and all the other bullshit for their battlegrounds and raids and shit, and how they have a similar system. But the whole thing is those systems actually work and make sense, because the whole thing is that in World of Warcraft it's all this other stuff, and they're trying to actually balance an actual in-game economy. So the whole idea is that they introduce these other marks as like little minor currencies that can't be used between players to get these special unique items, because then it doesn't add to the inflation that's already a huge fucking problem in games like in huge MMOs, large scale like World of Warcraft, shit like that.
I guess, but I don't know. But like there was someone I heard where it's the big problem in Destiny is that you're like, you can be anyone, you can be yourself, but the problem is that if you want the best gear and to be the highest you can be, you're going to be using the same gear as everybody else. Because it's just the best.
There's very little variation between the gear types. And the other problem too is that the class differences are incredibly minor. I don't mind the race differences not really mattering, because like, okay, it's just cosmetic shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay, whatever. But the whole thing is that the classes don't really matter much, because the whole thing, I get what they matter.
They matter once every your bar is charged up for that.
Yeah.
Long.
And it doesn't really, because the whole thing is that they're all the classes and subclasses are built so that they can kind of fit whatever kind of frame set you want it to.
Yeah.
And it's very minimal shit, and that's the problem, though, is that you need that class variance for that shit to matter.
Yeah.
Like, each class should have had availability to, like, different types of weapons and shit like that.
Yeah, like bonuses. But, like, then people will get pissed off because they can't. They're not very good with X weapon.
People need to quit whining and understand the way that MMOs and RPGs are supposed to work.
Yeah.
At least to some degree.
Well, that's the thing. It's supposed to work. And I don't mind them trying to break it, but, like, aside, like, the health stat and the movement stats
I guess I shouldn't say that, because because they have games like Elder Scrolls, like, and Oblivion and
Destiny was my hope
to
get in, because there's a lot about MMOs I really like the rating and the teamwork and these cool big stories and this big universe, and there's all this shit about MMOs I really want to get into. But I haven't liked any of them that I've played.
Okay.
And the Destiny was hoping to bridge that gap, and it did in a lot of ways, and it was a huge letdown in a lot of other ways.
In most other ways, in my opinion. Actually, one thing quickly before I have another side tangent I want to go off on, but quickly before I do that, one thing I really liked about Destiny though is the feel of combat and fighting and playing.
Yeah,
was really good. They did actually a really good job on that, and because Bungie's gotten that down from like Halo and everything like that, and all the other games done before. But like that game was one of the few games where, as much as the grind kind of pissed me off, I didn't mind fighting through hordes of enemies constantly, because I actually found it's one of the few games that actually managed to make the combat like that feel just intrinsically good.
Oh yeah, the combat.
It wasn't this extrinsic grind where I'm doing this just so I can get the more gear. I felt I was doing that more with the overall tasks and why I was doing these missions. But when I'm fighting these other guys, I'm enjoying shooting the hell out of all these whatever monsters on the moon and bullshit. Because
the wizards,
all the wizards on the moon.
Oh yeah,
the wizards.
I'm honestly sad they took that line out. Like, it was cheesy and it was bad, but it gave the game more character than it actually has.
They wasted Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage wasted himself. Like,
Basically.
he did a poor job, and anybody else could have done that voice acting as well.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Everybody got so pumped because it's Peter Dinklage.
But you know who'd actually at least whenever I've talked to him or been near his character? Nathan Fillion. Yeah, but he gives a shit about video games and voice acting.
And they gave him the smallest fucking role.
And Peter Dinklage, he either doesn't care, wasn't given good enough, being told what to do for his voice acting.
Yeah, probably.
And he just phoned it in.
Yeah.
I understand people would say, well, he was a robot. I'm like, well, yeah, but he's really excitable sometimes and deadpan others.
Here's my biggest comeback to that. And I know a lot of people really fucking hate him and get annoyed by him. Claptrap.
Yeah.
Going back to Borderlands. Just because he's a robot doesn't mean he can't have personality. And a lot of people I know that get really annoyed with Claptrap and are like, oh, he's so annoying. He has character, though.
Yeah, his character is annoying.
He is a really well-defined character. He's, especially in the second game, because he's the last of his kind.
Yeah.
Because you have to blow the hell out of all of them because he starts a fucking revolution, and Hyperion's like, okay, well, we're just going to scrap the rest of these guys, and he just happens to narrowly escape defeat in that sense.
Yep.
And that's basically that. He's the last one, and he's actually really dead and sad inside, but he can't really express it because he's a robot, and he just acts really happy and annoyed and superior.
Well, but it's just that,
that's it. But again, that's more character than the Dinklebot ever got.
Yeah. Well, Dinklebot, I get it, he's a robot, but, you can't have him he's either a robot or he's not a robot. It can't be both, because sometimes he's like, oh man, there's shit happening, and he sounds almost emotive. And then other times he's saying, yeah, they're going to kill you. Oh, well. I'm like, do you care or do you not care? Pick one.
Okay, because...
Or if you don't, if you care sometimes and don't care others, I need more than you deadpanning or not deadpanning to tell me if you care.
Yeah,
because
totally.
He's a character without a character.
Yeah, no,
and
totally.
You're expecting to know if he cares or not by how shitty the voice acting is. I can't, you can't build your character off whether or not you acted the line well.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Because, sometimes he's, really deadpan and other times he's not, and there's no reason or rhyme as to why. Or at least it's not told to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that pissed me off, because I'm like, you had, you could be such a great little annoying character or just an interesting character, and you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like I didn't even mind his character because he was kind of the one who was like, okay, well, this is what we got to do. And I think there was a lot of potential for the character in the squandered it. You ruined it. Bungie, you got to try harder.
No, but you're gonna be able to pay for DLC, and that'll be better.
Oh my fuck! Don't even get me started on that. I've actually gotten more annoyed about it over time. Because it's kind of bullshit, because the amount of shit that Destiny launched with, and the events, because, when it launched and it was like, okay, there's not much here, well, it's like, there are all these events that are coming out for free, I'm like, okay, you know what, this could add shit. I was really hoping with Queen's Wrath, the first one they did, that was going to add a bunch of stuff, and then it fucking didn't add a thing. They had a special kind of, daily mission thing, but it was just one of the missions that already existed in the fucking game.
Yeah.
Just reskinned to give you reputation for the Queen, and then fucking... Oh, fuck, what was it, though?
From what I can tell,
and just reskinned fucking bounties that were already existing in the fucking game.
Yep. But what
and then they did the same thing for the fucking Crucible thing, except they added, they didn't even have a new game mode. It was just this new, now your gear, which I didn't mind, but it's now your gear matters and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is kind of neat, but, you know.
It was the Iron Banner and Crucible. It was an interesting idea, but, Again, it's Crucible, which I don't give a shit about anyway.
It just should have been a thing to begin with. It shouldn't have been an event.
Yeah, for me, I
or if anything, it should be. If anything, they wanted to do it as like an actual like thing where they actually kind of pay attention to who's doing well throughout the Iron Banner tournament and such. Do it as like a monthly thing. It's like, oh, Iron Banner tournament this month, because fucking World of Warcraft does like their Dark Moon Fair every month.
Yeah.
And it's fucking cool. Or maybe it's not every month. I don't remember when. It's been ages since I played fucking World of Warcraft. But that would be fucking cool. And then I wouldn't even care because it's like, okay, well, but it's a monthly thing. They do it every month. I don't mind. That's not that much because it's just a monthly thing. But like even then, these fucking DLCs don't seem to be adding much. They're adding, some more story missions, but that's probably going to be 4 or 5, maybe if we're lucky.
Maybe.
And fucking 1 or 2 more strikes and a fucking new raid, and that's it. And it's like they're putting all this fucking hope on the fucking raid. But here's my biggest problem with the raids. There's no goddamn matchmaking for them.
See, I understand, like, you need a better matchmaker if you're going to be doing one for a raid.
You need a matchmaker, period.
Well, it's like, no, like...
Because the problem is I haven't done the Vault of Glass yet, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people who haven't. And the problem is they've had to use the internet and things like Reddit and all these other fucking sites to try to coordinate, like, hey, come join my raid party and stuff, because they didn't do matchmaking. The problem is it should not fall on the players to do their own matchmaking.
True. But for me, I understand you need more than the Crucible matchmaking. Because you need, like...
Well, yeah, and that's fine. But like, that shouldn't be that hard to do. Because they still managed to complete that with all their other things for their strikes and their fucking...
Like, for PlanetSide 2, they have a thing where it's like, you can click it and see what the guy's saying about his group, where he's saying, like, hey, we're going to be doing this. Or it's like, you can have a raid where it's like, if you don't have a mic, don't join. Or at least enough to say, here's the guys in the room, here's the guys in an area or who are looking for people to raid with, here's what they're asking.
Yeah.
And if you join up, you don't have them, boot them. Yeah. I get that. It's like you don't want you can't, like, we tried doing the raid and there was a few guys that didn't have a mic, and we probably could have done it, but it was a pain in the ass because the guys were not listening. Yeah. And you can't and they can't talk to you, so you don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to be with people who are semi-serious, and I know people are going to join to crash raids if you have a matchmaking like that.
Yes, exactly. But that's why you do something like what Grand Theft Auto has with their friggin' reputation and their whole thing where it's like, if you're a good sport, you're a cool guy, but if you're being a douche and other players are like, hey, you're being a douche and report you for shit, then it's like you get kind of knocked out for crap. So
it's in Destiny, like I was kind of pissed off with the reputation wheels. Yeah. Because like, everyone's got a reputation wheel. Again, but they're generally pointless. They're just added.
That's another thing where it's because World of Warcraft did it. The whole thing with reputation wheels is that World of Warcraft did it, and they did restrictions for certain higher level gears and things where you buy those friggin' like special mounts you wanted or things you wouldn't be able to get it unless you built a reputation by doing quests for these people who are wearing their banner while you were doing it. And again, this is just Destiny ripping it off, but not understanding the point of the mechanics.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there going,
and
like,
why the mechanics are in place for World of Warcraft. It's kind of just like
what's the Cryptarch's reputation wheel? Like, I think I'm hitting like level 10 now, maybe a little higher.
Which I don't actually mind because it's kind of nice, but but
what's it do? It doesn't do anything.
All it does is gives you rewards. That's it. Every time you ding it, it gives you a reward.
Oh, that's it?
Like, that's it. That's the whole point. That's it.
That's really dumb.
It is dumb, and that's the thing. It's an issue with game design when you a lot of people fall into this folly where they sit down and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna make this genre of game, so we're gonna take this element. But the problem is they don't understand the point of the mechanics behind it.
Well, I understand games are iterative. Like, they are. Like, you're going to take shit from other games and maybe put your own little twist on it.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. But the problem is
they didn't get it.
You have to understand why it's in use. It's like, hey, in a game where, like in World of Warcraft, because I was actually watching extra credits on YouTube, and they were doing a big video on all the stuff for, what was it, like economies in games, economy systems and MMO stuff. And the whole thing is that in games like World of Warcraft, things you have player trading. The whole thing is that can cause inflation in the currency because everybody's just trading items, and it can cause the worth of items and stuff to go way up or way down and stuff. Yeah. And it can cause the basically the value of one gold piece in the game to fucking skyrocket. So the whole idea, because currency is just being added, because the whole problem is that you're not printing currency in this game. The only thing is the currency comes from the monsters, either in the revenue that the items generate or in the money they drop. And the problem is you can't restrict the printing of the currency or the spawning of the monsters. The problem is that takes away from gameplay. So the whole thing is that's why you have NPC vendors who sell shit, because the whole point of the NPC vendors is to take money out of the game and to try to reduce inflation. And that's the problem. In a game like fucking Destiny, none of the vendors sell anything good, except for the ones that take the special currency, which is fine. But the problem is if you're going to buy the special currency, the whole point of that is to reduce, again, the need for the problem of inflation, because these items don't use the same currency, and this currency isn't affected by player use.
Yeah. I don't know,
and player trading and stuff like that. And that's kind of my problem. And again, that's the whole thing. But in Destiny, there's no fucking point to it, because the whole point of all the friggin', I don't even mind, but all the friggin' thing the currency is ever used for is just upgrading your gear.
Yep.
That's it. It's an upgrade currency.
It's, I don't know, like, we should get off of it, but like Destiny, there's a lot of potential there.
And a big fucking letdown is what we're left with.
Well, the potential is still there, even. Like, they could do shit to add it in, but A, they're not going to give it to you for free, no matter how much money the goddamn game made, which was absurd. Yeah. Like, the game, it was basically like, it won't ever be compared to GTA, because GTA just blew everything out of the park. But for
what it... But see, here's the problem I have with it, though. GTA 5 is a really fucking good game.
True. Like,
I know a lot of people will sit and be like, oh, well...
Oh, I can nitpick GTA, but like...
it's really easy to nitpick it, and it's definitely not a perfect game. But compared to Destiny, it was a fucking amazing game.
Yeah, I put, like...
And they've been doing their online better, because they've been adding plenty of shit through updates. And I mean, it's not a lot you can add to a GTA game, but they've been finding ways. They've been adding all kinds of new fucking weapons and clothing items and all these other fucking vehicles and shit, and just all kinds of things to keep the game kind of fresh, and adding new stuff for game modes and adding new custom game modes.
Like, I paid my $60 to it, and I feel I got $60 out. However, when I put it in, it was probably lied to, but like, my biggest upset is the heists. I want to do the heists.
Yes.
And like the fact
that the
multiplayer heists, and it's still not in the fucking game, and that's what's pissing me off, because I'm like, guys, you've been promising multiplayer heists. I bought the game when I did, which was like long after it had been out for a year at least already, or has it even been a year? I don't know. I bought it quite a few months after everyone was kind of like, after it had been played and most people were stopping playing it as much.
Yeah,
because they're like, the heists are coming out soon.
It wasn't quite a year, but you were getting close to the point when it was out. Yeah.
And I was like, great, I'll get it. The heist should be out soon, and I'm pumped for these heists. And they're still not out. And that was months ago.
Here's the difference, though. Here's my biggest difference, though, is we got Destiny, and you and I played a bunch of that, and we had fun, but even then there was a lot of shit that lacked from the game, and we felt that kind of took away from our experience. Those heists were still missing from GTA 5. You and I played that game online the one day, all fucking day, and we had a fucking blast playing that fucking game. We got into a fucking car chase with this one dude in a fucking chopper and shit, and we just went across the whole fucking map just trying to kill this guy, and we fucking couldn't because we sucked ass.
Yeah.
And this guy was just so much better at the game than us. But we were at this for the longest time, and that was just part of our fucking experience, and we had so much goddamn fun.
Yeah.
We burned ourselves out of it, and we just were like, hey, we've had enough GTA 5, we need to put this away for a while. But fuck, we had a shitload of fun.
Oh yeah, no, like
and that's my big point, though, is that game, you really get your money's worth. It's a great game, and it's just but Destiny doesn't have that.
It doesn't. Like, for me, it's one of those, I want to beat the Vault of Glass, and I'm going to do Vault of Glass, and once it's done and I get my gear, I'll probably be about done. Like, I might get the DLC, but like, I'm gonna wait until after it's out and then see, like, if everyone's like, yeah, it's 2 more strikes.
Well, yeah, because I want to see the cost of it, and I want to see the quality of it.
Like, even if nobody's beaten the Vault yet, and when it comes out, if they're like, yeah, there's a bunch of new story and it's really fleshed out and there's all this great stuff in it, and I'll be like, you know what? Okay, I'll get the DLC and check it out. But if everyone's like, yeah, like, the Vault's really hard because it's a Vault.
Or the raid.
Or the raid, sorry, I keep...
Vault of Glass stuff. It one's Crota's End, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Crota's End. And
which I actually kind of want to check out, because I did like the whole, the moon parts and Crota.
The story that's there and the universe that's been built is really cool.
Yeah.
It's the fact that in the game, it's not there.
Yeah.
Like, I've looked at all the Grimoire cards, and I've read all this backstory stuff.
Grimoire cards, oh god. All the lore that should have been on disc, but wasn't because Bungie wanted to push their fucking website and their fucking app and bullshit, and decided to just take it out and stick it on the website.
Well, for me, I was hoping, I'm like, man, there's all this lore. For me, when I was first coming, I'm like, man, there's all this lore in the Grimoire cards. That means, like, they're doing all this stuff, so I'm like, there must be a lot in the game, and this is the backstory to help fill in the blanks. Because I understand they're dropping you into a universe that's already set.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's close to us, and there's these minor changes that we're going to be revealing to. This is an entirely new universe. Here's all the backstory. I'm like, great, there's going to be a lot of the story in the game, too, right?
And no.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on, right? No.
Yeah.
Like, the story that is there was
You
cool.
lost that gamble.
Yeah.
Sir.
The story that was there, like, from what you could piece together, was pretty interesting. Like, the shit with the array.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, with Rasputin. Like, the Warmind Rasputin
that
was
fucking
cool.
that fucking thing didn't make any sense, though, because they brought him up and then they dropped him.
No. He's if you pay attention, he's in a lot of the game later.
Oh, yeah?
Like, but he's always there as, like, he's kind of there. Like, when you're on Mars with the strike with the...
Yeah, but Mars is like... Yeah, but here's my thing, because I was about to actually get to that, and I see what you're talking about now. You were talking about what I was about to talk about. Yeah, because he doesn't really come up again until Mars, and it's only a few brief references. You realize he's kind of playing a part in it all. But it's on a really small level, and the big problem is that it's like... It's not until the end of the game, because Rasputin first comes up on Earth when you start the game, and then it's like end game. Now he's.
I think he's on Venus. I think he's mentioned once or twice on Venus, but it's more of like I'm hitting a firewall, and so it's like kind of like a throwaway comment where you're like, oh great, it's just you think it's a thing, but when you're thinking back, you're like, oh shit, that's probably Rasputin. But the problem is that
you should have to fill in those blanks.
Yeah, it might be Rasputin, it might not be, but like I'm willing to bet it is because of how they set him up later. But...
Or at least if you were supposed to fill in those blanks, you shouldn't have to be sitting here after you've beaten the game speculating on whether or not.
True. Like I don't know. I think it's quite. Cool,
it should at least come to mind while it's happening that oh maybe this is him, but it doesn't because you don't know.
Well, it's the problem with it's the problem with MMO and MMO style games where it's not like with most games where it's, hey, the party's on, or the party just happened. It's, the party's, it's kind of going on. But you cannot be such an active force of change as you can in most games because it's an MMO and everybody's
that's the thing of like World of Warcraft, though, is it drops you in and you're like, yep, this is the world right now. Yep. And then you just kind of go. I mean, they kind of play it up a bit more with your character. Well, your character is like, oh, your character's a little more individually special in all the quests and stuff, or at least in just sort of like the storyline your character's kind of going through as you're going from place to place. But I mean, it's not so much to a point where it's but it's just how it is.
Well, I don't mind being a small actor in a larger story, but the thing with like a lot of it, there's very little story and you're kind of skipping along it. Where it's like, with the stuff with Rasputin, I'm like, this could be really cool, and it just never really culminates in anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it would be nice to see some kind of closure with something.
Yeah.
Because the story itself, there's a bunch of stuff that happens, but none of it feels like anything's happened.
Yeah.
You're just like, you're going from point A to point B, and I get it, it's the big universe, and there's a lot of shit happening, but I need to feel probably some kind of closure. And maybe it'll be at the end of the vault, but I have a feeling that it's not.
Well, no. Well, no, because they tried to give the closure at the end of the final mission, but it's just like, oh, you save you kind of save the traveler, now you can start to heal. But I didn't mind how they ended it kind of with the stranger, how it's like, yep, it's still going on, the battle's not over yet, there's still evil everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool, because that allows it to kind of, as you're playing still after, it's like, okay, well, then it doesn't feel fucking pointless. And you're not sitting there wondering why you're still fighting all these enemies when all the evil should have been banished kind of idea.
Yeah.
But I hated how they still built it up as being this really huge deal, but the mission didn't feel like it was that... Like the build-up to that mission didn't feel as special.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, okay.
Honestly, I'd almost forgotten about it. I'm like, the Black Garden. I'm like, to be fair, that was pretty cool, but like, it was just kind of like, Black Garden. And I was like, okay, cool. And I beat the Black Garden, and I was like, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. Destiny itself is... It's probably one of the greatest meh that I've ever played.
The greatest meh.
It's
the world's greatest meh.
It was like, yeah, it's like thinking back, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot about Destiny that's pretty good, and a lot that's pretty shitty, and all in all, it's meh.
But yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up for this week's episode.
I think so.
For all that we have here. Hope you guys all enjoyed what we have to say. Hope you guys keep coming back for more. We're going to be having the plan is to have a guest each week from a host of friends and people that we know. Try to have that, and probably going to have some other videos and stuff coming out along the way, and see what else we kind of are able to put together here. This is basically from myself, SuperSaorin and FootStompa. This is our first attempt at actual full official YouTube channel. So hopefully you guys all like it, and you guys want to come back for more and hear more of our thoughts and our interesting and witty banter. At least that's what I'd like to call it.
So like, subscribe, and keep an eye out for the next one.
Yes, there will be more. We promise.